Testing. Whoa, okay. Good evening. I will now call the meeting into session. We could rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation, indivisible. Student liaison by Messier.
Good evening, school committee members, Superintendent Ferrand and Assistant Superintendent Ramsey and Ms. Corsi. It's a pleasure to be with you all today. We're excited to announce that the Health Occupations Class will be hosting another blood drive on the 28th. These events always have a fantastic turnout, and it's inspiring to see how our school community comes together to make a real impact. If you're eligible, we encourage you to donate and save some lives. The National Honor Society is also hosting a paint night on March 6th with an amazing opportunity. You can get creative with your family, and with guidance from an instructor, you'll be able to paint your own masterpiece while enjoying a fun and relaxing evening together. Additionally, the Class of 2025 committee is holding its Valentine's Day fundraiser this week. On Wednesday and Thursday, we're going to be in the student commons selling carnations for $2 each, and these will be hand delivered on Friday, or on Valentine's Day, to whoever you choose, and it's a great way to spread some love and appreciation. Now for our winter sports, our boys basketball team is currently 8-10 and looking to add another win tomorrow as they play in Johnston. Meanwhile, our girls basketball team is having an amazing season at 12-5, and they're playing today at North Smithfield. Our wrestling team is 3-4, and our swimming team is still undefeated, and they've actually won every single one of their meets over the past 2 years. And their next meet is on the 14th. Our gymnastics co-op is 2-11, and they're placed 7th in the division. And both our boys and girls indoor track and field teams are 9-1 and sitting at 2nd place in their division. And right now, the JV states is going on at PCTA. And on the ice, our girls hockey team is 2-8, and our boys hockey team is 3-8. And our spring sports are coming up real fast, and our sign-up meetings will be happening over the next couple of weeks. And thank you all for having me. Have a great rest of your day.
I'll now entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Just one correction on that for discussion item. That $10 million budget has to be changed to $100 million. Yes.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. PTO, PTA, EPLAC report. Superintendent's report.
Here we go. Good evening. Is the facilities report this month. At the high school, the concrete pad work is being done to accept the 36 by 48 steel building. Site work continues. It has a contractual end date of March 3rd. The building has been ordered and we're awaiting delivery. installation will be going out, and along with the electrical RFPs will be next. Lighting for the East Providence High School signage has been fixed by O'Neill Electric, and we are out of the warranty period on those lights now. That'll be something we'll have to look at. Wiring issues with the clock tower has been addressed. The appropriate contractors, OPM and electrical inspector. Action has been taken to have everything brought to code and will be fully repaired to meet electrical standards. I have addressed my concerns with the issues with the running track to the contractors, OPM and installer. Further determinations are still being made as to the appropriate repair needed. I will continue to press the issue until it's resolved. I'll be looking to have the track repaired with a permanent solution to stop the cracks, sorry. Preparations for the baseball field seating was started by the city DPW. Excavation for the concrete work needed to support the seats has been dug initially, and they'll be looking to do the concrete work in the spring. The rear parking lot where we were experiencing asphalt cracking has been repaired with crack sealant on Saturday, January 18th. At Martin, construction continues with sheetrock, interior framing, rough electrical, plumbing, and HVAC. Windows and masonry continue to be installed daily. At Waddington, preparations are being made for the next phase of construction to start taking place over a February break. Masonry on the outside of the building will start being infilled where the old Univent intake grate holes were, along with test installation of some of the windows. More work will continue during April vacation, also to get a jump start on everything needed for summertime period. At Riverside, the interior space where the old freezer was has been converted into a storage office area. Shelving units have been ordered and they've actually been delivered on February 7th. The unit is up and running and ready for full operation. The remaining refrigerators are to be distributed to other schools in need of a replacement. And exterior site finishes with grass and asphalt will be completed in the spring when the weather allows.
Annie, just to follow up with the cracks in the parking lot.
Yep.
I just want that noted that hopefully that solves the issue for many years, but I think we're gonna have an issue with all that cracking event, this spring. That,
Talking about where they patched.
right, where we patched that, I just don't want the public to think that we did that as a permanent fix. I think them cracks happened too soon and there was already a lot of heaving from one side to the other. So I think that we caught it in time to prevent this winter from freezing and lifting, but that may have to be looked at, this spring.
Right, more potentially.
Exactly. I think hopefully we don't have issues with that, but
Yeah,
it looks
we're
like
gonna
we
keep
may.
an eye on it.
yes. And then second, could we just look at and say, if you don't have, resolution on something with that track, say in the next month, if you bring that back to us and we may have to get the legal team involved with that? Because, it's been about 8 months, matter of fact, since school left last June. So if they don't give you, any feedback that you're comfortable with, feel comfortable to come back to us, we'll probably agree to get the legal team involved with that. It takes some of that off. And, one more thing, Danny, just, I won't use the word tell everybody they did a very good job this last snowstorm, because I know your back was against the wall. We did get let down by quite a few custodians, so I don't mind saying, I wish I could say, I want to thank everybody, but everybody wasn't there. We did get a lot of shorthanded people not helping us. So I know you put in almost 12, 13 hours, that day. So thank you for what you did for that. Thank you.
Oh, Danny, I'm sorry. I just had like some simple nonlinear follow-up questions. Kind of piggybacking off of Mr. Ferreira, talking about the running track. Just thinking about like the further determinations and pressing the issue. Who's involved in this process?
So right now, it would be our OPM, would be Gil Bain, the company that laid the track, in contact with. Company that did the underlayment of the track. So they did it per spec on design, which they did, but the design, say,
Is that something like we have, is there a warranty on that work or no?
There is, but the warranty isn't fixed. They've come out and warranted it, and it's still happening. It's a massive design flaw that could be something different.
Okay, and then I was just wondering if you could share like some of your thoughts on what you feel like next steps are from, you know, this moment through like next month when we talk about it again, or our next meeting. You know, what do you think is like continuing conversations with the OPM and the contractor, continuing to look deeper into the contracts and the warranties that were created to see like what the specific language is, or are there other things that you feel like you might be able to address to help resolve this?
So warranty wise, it's out of warranty. They've come before and patched the cracking per warranty that failed again, second time I would say. Obviously that fix isn't holding up. So I'm trying to come up with a permanent fix that'll solve the problem and be more practical. And we'll be getting that priced out and then presented that before presented it.
Okay, great, thank you. Additionally, as someone who drives by the East Providence High School often, the lettering for the East Providence High School looks really nice, completed. So thank you for the work that you've done behind the scenes on, you know, getting that back up. Just thinking about like that warranty being expired, that was the first time we saw fault in those lighting. So it essentially should expect that that should last like another 2 to 4 years. And then just thinking about the clock tower, essentially where we are with that, just off of your notes, we've had inspectors go in there. We've addressed the issues with the contractors and the OPM. Action has been taken to bring everything up to code, would tell me that it's already completed, but it's not.
Yeah, so we had a meeting on Monday out there with the city electrical inspector, other people involved. So they're fully committed to fixing everything. It's actually still under warranty until May of 2025. So they have to complete it through warranty.
They have to complete the fix. That's great. And then, you know, just thinking ahead, and I would just be curious for, I think, benefit of this committee and budget perspective, if you could identify like what costs would be for repairing lighting. And I'm really curious, the East Providence High School lettering, basically because of the location of it, right? It's not just something you can go up there and screw the lights in and out. Right? It must take like cranes, people going up onto the roof, and I'm sure it's a lengthy process. So if that's
You need an 80-foot bucket truck to get up there.
right, and so without the warranty being, with the warranty now being expired, I'm just curious, you know, if you can identify what future costs may be for the next like 2 to 4 years if we run into this type of cosmetic issue again.
If the whole strip was to go out, probably around $7,500.
And then just a handful of lights that go out.
So
What if a handful of lights just go out?
uplighting, if it's 3 or 4 separate uplights. So they go out separately on the drivers, and that's what keeps happening. Drivers keep dying, but each light is about
Each light.
so figure you'd be around 12,000 for all 4 lights.
Okay, that's good to know.
That's labor.
We got a finance guy in the room here, so it's good he's taking notes on that. Not even a smile. Okay, thank you, Danny. Appreciate it.
Give us an update on the one timeline.
So it's still before DEM, it just got passed. So they're looking to dig this summer. That'll be the timeline of it. We went out the other day and made a stone path. About a little bit of it, but sometime.
Good evening. I'm here to share with you a little bit of an update on the ALP and where we are at the halfway point of our first year over at the East Providence High School ALP. We have a small presentation. I'm going to run through it. You don't need to read all the words. You should have a packet in front of you that will help you with everything that we have. The first slide is going to be our mission statement. This mission statement is something that was collaboratively drafted with the high school and the central office administration, and is something that guides our work every single day. It is the vision behind what we do over at the ALP, and it's what we want our students to be able to achieve by fostering a very individualized environment for each and every student. Next slide. So our objectives are there, so you have an idea of exactly what we do every single day. We offer the students and families an opportunity to experience success. So for many, many times, and later in the presentation tonight, you're going to see that for the first time, students over in the ALP are really feeling success. They're feeling behavioral success and they're feeling academic success. And you'll see that we're meeting with success along the way through retrieval of credits. Students are engaged in a blended learning experience where they have direct instruction with educators and also an online platform where they're able to have standards-based instruction and get help as they need it. Next slide, please. So attendance, we have 2 sessions at the ALP. We have an AM and a PM session. In the AM session, we currently have 10 active students, and in the PM session, we have 7. We're in the process of enrolling 1 additional student in the PM session. Attendance, in the AM session, we're at a chronic absenteeism of 39% chronic absenteeism, whereas in the afternoon, it's 48. Now, those numbers are staggering. But compared to the current high school chronic absenteeism, which is at 32%, last I looked, now it could change, it changes regularly. For our most needy students, that's not awful. It's awful. It's something we're working on, and we have parent meetings that we're conducting on a very regular basis to have the students attend more often. In your packet, you have a slide that you should just skip, please, and you should have the one that's up on your screen. So I told you that we're meeting with academic success on a very regular basis. So I was wrong. I thought that this presentation was going to be 2 weeks ago. So I did this presentation then, and this slide was in there with 51 completed courses and 27 credits retrieved. Next slide, please. When I learned that I was wrong and the presentation wasn't 2 weeks ago, we ran the numbers again. And since in a 2-week period, our students are making such fantastic gains that they are now up to 64 completed courses and 35 credits earned. So that is a remarkable number for our students to be able to achieve. And that is a true testament to their dedication as well as the dedication on the part of the staff. 16 of our 20 students, or 80%, are completing at least 1 course and have accrued a credit, which is fantastic. Next slide, please. We do give progress reports on a regular basis. These go out in conjunction with either their IEP goals, if they're an IEP student, or on a marking period at a quarter mark or a semester mark. This is a sample. It's redacted. It is a real student's grade. You can see we individualize it for the student so they know if they have to go a little faster in a certain subject, they need a little bit more help, or they're on track to retrieve the credit. Next slide, please. The progress report in that one that you just saw, of the 17 active students, they're taking a combined total of 145 classes, and to date, more than 48% of those courses are either complete or on track for completion. And we got that from our progress updates that we monitor through the Pearson online program, as well as in-class work that they're taking. So we have a, next slide, please. We have a very structured system, and I think we attribute this to the success of the program thus far, and it's based on a point and a level system. So our students earn points every single day, and the points are tiered in different levels from 1 through 4. 1 being the most restrictive tier, and 4 being the most free tier, where the students have earned certain privileges and certain opportunities. That means that they've been on track every single day for their behaviors. The next slide will indicate what the levels really delineate, and some of them seem very basic, but they need to learn how to interact with each other, with their students, and how other students, and how to handle disappointment and how to handle redirection. So by the time a student is at level 4, we're truly starting to the conversation about potential reintegration into the high school, taking extended classes at the ALP, and move over to the high school for maybe a course or maybe at the semester break. At level 4, students are able to participate in interscholastic sports, attend events at the high school, such as dances or games, or in the upcoming season, potentially a prom. So students are very eager to maintain their levels, and they're definitely dictated by their points and their credit retrieval at this point. We have a token economy, which is detailed on our next slide. A token economy is a reward system that students can buy things, they can get things. It's, again, a point system that it's like a PBIS system for students, positive behavioral supports and interventions. So they're getting constant reiteration of their ongoing good work each and every day. Now, when they don't meet their day, they repeat the day. If they don't meet their day 2 days in a row, they go back down to the level, first day of any given level. So we start day 1, level 1, day 1. If you make that day, you go up to level 2, day 1. There's 20 days in level 1, and then they go to level 2, and level 3, and after level 3, they have 30 days. After level 4, they have to keep going. And if they don't make it, they return to that level. So they have some choices. There's breaks within their day where they're able to interact with each other. The social interaction is equally as important for them as the academic achievement. So as I said earlier, on the next slide, we talk about how we're having parent meetings. We have a close, we call ourselves the Avengers. So when we have a text group, and if anything is needed or we need to get down there, there's a whole bunch of us on the text, and we get down there and we immediately interact with the students, the staff, and any issue that's going on. We have parent meetings immediately. We have that built into our program, and we're able to communicate with parents if things are really going astray. The good thing is we also have good news conversations with parents. So when things are going really well, we're getting the phone call that starts out with, "Oh no," but it ends up with, "I can't believe you just called me for that." So the parents are seeing that their children are having success in the program. So we thought it would be a really good idea for you to hear what the students are saying about the program. And the next few slides will delineate a quick survey that we put out to them, and we asked them what their voice was, what they thought about. So we asked on the next slide, what is the best part about being in the East Providence High School ALP? They said the teachers are a big help. They're able to make up their credits. They're supportive and kind. They have break time, and they're getting a lot more work done. And I didn't even add without a lot of distractions. The next slide will indicate if they were behind on their credits. 61% self-reported that they were behind on their credits and failing courses. Now, 92.4% of the students said that they have improved. And you can see by the pie chart, 90% of them are making up their work and meeting with success. The next slide talks about discipline and suspension. Prior to coming to the East Providence High School ALP, we asked the students, did you regularly get into trouble? And you can see that by the blue and the red graph, you have a black and white copy, but on the screen, the blue and the red graph is showing a very large percent of students indicating that they got into significant trouble. Now, on the next slide, you can see that that has decreased significantly, but not to perfection, right? Significant decrease, but they're still learning how to interact and do the right thing all the time. But they're self-reporting that nearly 77% of them are getting into trouble, far less, which is a huge accomplishment for this population. Attendance before and after ALP is on the next slide. And prior to starting the ALP, East Providence High School ALP, did you attend school regularly? Were you a truant student? The two graphs on that page are showing that 92% of the students are reporting better attendance is starting the ALP. It's personalized, it's dedicated, and it's individualized. Generally speaking, are you doing better in the East Providence High School ALP? And 92% of the students, again, report they are doing much better. So we wanted to give you a snapshot of how our students are doing, what they think about it, and how incredibly proud we are of the credits that they're retrieving. And we fully expect many of our students to regain momentum and either graduate on time and with their class or not fall behind too much. So that's all I have about the East Providence High School ALP. Did you have a question, Tony?
Yes, I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
One, I want to thank you for this information. I just don't understand what took 5 months to get it to me. So that's one. I've been asking for this type of information. I supported this program from day one based on we would get a monthly update. And I want to speak for myself, an update into this meeting. So whoever put it together, I want to thank you. Second, could we get an update every 2 weeks at our next meeting where this is going? Because I just have an issue of where we started to where we're at to where we're finishing. In other words, because like I said, I supported this. There's a lot of money being spent in this program, which is great if we continue to see the tracking improve. The question I have, and could you give us the end results, what our goals are? I know I heard you mention a lot, what our goals are. Like, what would be the goal for these students to meet with attendance? We know that, we're working, well, in other words, it's easy to say that meeting their goals. What are the goals they're supposed to be meeting? I think this body needs to know that if we're going to support this. Same with behavioral issues, like where are our goals at? What are we working with them to meet?
So every student has an individualized point sheet in the ALP, and in 2 weeks, I'll bring a sample of the point sheet, which are the goals for the students that they have. And then on their point sheet, they have individualized goals. So if you're a student that does X wrong all the time, we give you a personalized goal that you really work on that particular goal. But then there's general how to be a student goals, right? Come to school on time, get along with your classmates, do schoolwork, things like that. So yes, I can give you an update about the goals and attendance, and I'll give you an update on academics and behavior.
And just, if we could just, same thing with this sample academy, the program report, if we can just number them, definitely keep the names off so we can track where each individual, student is getting. Definitely don't put no names on any of this. I don't want none of that. But I need to know, with my frustration where for 5 months, I think I'll speak for this committee, we were left out of this program. That's a little disturbing to me. I don't want to say why at the end results, if you educators come up with a program and our end goal is this and we meet it or very close to it, I consider it successful. We'll continue it going forwards. But I'm just the type of individual that just says we're meeting goals. I want to see the goals that we're shooting to meet. We know that at the high school, every student at that high school has goals that every teacher is striving for to get them kids to meet. I want that same standard here. So until we know what the goal is at that high school, just saying we're meeting them, I need to see what goals we're meeting.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Just wanted to ask if there was a specific success story that you wanted to highlight.
There, a specific
to be one.
success story. We have a student who was academically ineligible and behaviorally ineligible to play sports, and that student is playing a sport for our teams right now. We have students that have personally sat in either the social worker's office or with the teachers and cried because they got another certificate that they've met and passed a class. So many of these students were behind their age-appropriate grade, And so many of them are becoming that age appropriate grade now. So if they were a junior, but they only had credits enough to be a freshman, they're earning them, but they're almost going to be an academic junior, which is fantastic. And I can give more success stories, but so many of them find that internal strength. So to go down and talk to them, they're talking about, I had a substantial conversation with one young man. He didn't know where to go. He wants to go into construction. And so I, recommended Building Futures. We got online together and we started poking around. And he's reaching out to those people to try to get internships and try to get on the job trainings. So they're thinking about their future, which is unusual.
Also wanted to ask for the program.
As of this moment, my feeling is that we're staffed for the students that we have. We partner with East Providence High School. Obviously, it's a program of East Providence High School for social, emotional, and mental health needs and nursing needs. So our students are able to access those services. Ideally, if we continue to grow and you see the successes, I would love to see this program grow and develop to include more and give the opportunity for more. But we're not there yet. There's been some growing pains and we had to kind of design certain things and make sure that we had what the kids needed. But I think we're at the point where we're all feeling very confident. We meet once a week as a leadership and we talk about the structure and then we talk about kids' success. We talk about the structure and then we talk about kids' success. So we're all dialed in pretty tight about what the students are doing. You're welcome.
You word that word construction, which is.
I know,
my
piqued your,
golden
I
light.
said it for you, Mr.
Yes,
Ferrara.
the question that I have, that young individual,
You hiring? No?
we won't, I can't push that. But my goal is to see if we could ever get him to visit Tom Galligan's class. In other words, when you said, if he's reaching out to you, that's where he wants to go in life. We have one of the best trade shops in the state, right across the parking lot. I love to see if you could sit down with Tom, great teacher, good friend of mine, to see if we can get that individual over there, maybe twice a month for an hour, just so he gets the experience of seeing what these guys are building sheds, seeing what it's around, being around power tools, because that may give him that extra oomph to really stay on that track.
So that's a
Because,
goal, right? That's an
yes.
absolute goal. And as this student approaches level 4 day, whatever, he's going to be part of that conversation to see if he can get over there. We initially thought we'd go over during WIN, but I think maybe, why are you laughing at me?
We're going to talk about that. I don't, I'm not an educator, but trust me, I've been doing it 42 years. I don't care what level that individual's at. I want an answer privately from you why we can't bring him over now. Because if we're waiting to see him get to 3 or 4, by bringing him over here, may fast track that when he sees what a great career he has in front of him. I don't want to see 2 or 3 months go by and this individual can't get to that next level and he's forbidden to see that. My mind says if he ever sees what them kids are doing, that may expedite that hurdle. So we'll meet privately.
We
and
will.
see what we can do about that. You see the smile on my, when it comes to kids in education, that's the future of this country. And serious money, as you know, is in it. So if this individual is interested in it, I want to see if we can fast track that for him. And any other student over there that, like I said, I'm sorry about that. We may be able to bring him there and then mention that to some other kids there. So I think that would be a good place to start.
Okay, we'll talk. That's it. Thank you so much. Oh, yes.
Sorry. I think in my opinion, being an educator is hard, right? I think it's harder than most folks conceptualize and think about and understand. And, some of the data that you shared here tonight, this is really great work from the education team, within this program. And so, thank you, and thank you to the team. And I also want to just put just a couple of notes, because I know, just piggybacking off of Mr. Ferrara, like just about some of the data. for like the next update, I'm curious if you could just share some of the, thinking about the completion track. 40, more than 48% of those courses are, either complete or on track. I'm curious, like, what was these students' completion track percentage outside of the ALP, just to compare, like, additionally, and I believe you touched on this, but just in case, I was just curious, when you're going over the levels 1, 2, 3, and 4, if you could just share the percentages of students or number of students, because it's 17 at each level. I think that would be like a good number to kind of identify, to see, like, to be able to track progress as well moving forward. I made a note on the Avengers also, just so you know, like that, yeah. And then just one other thing, the self-reporting, I think is great. And I'm curious if you could just, for some of those self-reporting data that you shared, if you could compare that to like actual district reporting. Thinking about like disciplinary referrals, I think it's great to see like the mindset of the students and how that's moving in a very positive direction and how they're looking at themselves. I would be curious to see, like, if on the district level, if we're noticing, the disciplinary reports for these students going down as well.
These students or all students?
Could be all students. I mean, I think if the focus on for ALP, like I think to ALP students. Just kind of like the self-reporting data and then comparing that to like the actual district data, right? Attendance, 92.4% of students are reporting better attendance since starting ALP. How does that stand up to the actual attendance report? Because we're looking at still some pretty high, absenteeism percentages.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Good evening, everyone. Fiscal year 25, our current fiscal year, we continue to be off to a good start. Really no significant items to note. I know that one of the line items we talked about last month was the substitute line item. So just to give you, an example. So the second line down, account 51115, salaries for substitutes year to date, $339,229. You go 3 columns over to the right, you can see that a year ago at this same time, we were at 303,000. So just to give you a little bit of a comparison, people are sick, people are out, things happen. And they're just, as the months go on, there are line items that we will continue to watch. In terms of fiscal year 24, unfortunately, I still cannot provide you a year-end number at this time. We still do not have final invoices from DCYF. We are still waiting for some credits and some other revenue that is supposed to come in. So we remain cautious for our fiscal year 24. We are keeping a close eye on it. But by next month, I will be able to have something for you, because we need to start working on the audit. And so we definitely want to have bills paid. And also last month, I know I had informed you that I was hoping to present the fiscal year 23 audit tonight. That audit just got wrapped up and formalized. So unfortunately, the final copies have not been sent out. So hopefully that will be ready for next month to go. Thank you very much. Are there any questions?
Hey, Greg, just a question on line items, the 57,000 series. We're about 50,000 over what we budgeted for.
Oh, yeah, let me tell you what happened. So 57,305 for equipment, we had some copiers that just died. So we had to get a new copier for Orlo. We had to get a new copier for Kent Heights, and we had to get and the copier for the administration building, which has been here longer than I've been here. That needed to be replaced. So that's where the leasing expenses go for that.
And then the tech software. I know, I think we spoke last month, grant funded items that are no longer grant funded. Could be a repeat question, and sorry if so, but is that software item like expected to continue to grow throughout the year?
I believe at this point, that line item should remain pretty much the same because it's everything that we've needed to run the district in terms of the software, like the Microsoft licensing, any of the Apple iOS platform systems, all the systemic pieces. Because our fiscal year started on November 1st, all of those bills have been paid. That's separate from the 53,222, which is the educational software that's used within the classrooms. You're welcome. Thank you very much.
You have in your packet the Spring Rhode Island Department of Health and Rhode Island and RIDE Youth Behavior Risk Survey. This is a yearly survey that's distributed to schools, secondary schools. You have samples of the middle and high school survey. And these are typically administered to us students in the spring, and we need your approval in order to do so. There's been a yearly survey that we give. I think you've all seen it before.
Yeah, Sandy, just a question. I feel pretty confident I probably asked the same one last year. Students, if they are in a school that is participating, individual students, do they have the ability to opt out of the survey with zero repercussion? There's nothing negatively impact that happens to them. They could just say, I don't want to take the survey, and therefore they don't have to take it.
Yes. Anyone else have questions on the survey?
I do have another question, Sandy. How do these surveys get presented to the families of students? Is there examples such as when we have in our packet that are sent out to families so they're, aware if their student is being asked about, marijuana use or alcohol use? Some families might not be, like, what's the level of awareness that families get before their children are put like a survey like this in front of them?
Yeah, we'll send out a parent square to parents or the newsletter. It goes out in the newsletter so parents are aware.
And they're able to see the survey themselves.
We don't put the whole survey in. I don't know if there's probably samples we can link to it, or we can have them. There's actually results online, so we could put the link in so parents knew what the questions were. And then we can make surveys available if they want to preview it. I mean, this is a sample. But...
And then outside of the $500 appreciation that schools receive for using this survey, what are the other benefits that the district gains from participating?
Yeah, I think it helps to determine programming. It helps for us to see trends in student behavior and where we need to focus on when we're providing support. We have student assistance counselors in all three of the secondary schools, so I think that data also drives some of the way that they operate. So it's really the data that we get out of it.
And then lastly, is there a specific committee that is going over these survey results to be able to identify appropriate programming that is necessary for the students based on the results?
I think a lot of that comes from the Department of Health and RIDE. East Providence Prevention Coalition. I know they use the results to help with programming with the schools. Yeah. Yep.
Any other questions?
Just to relieve some parents' minds that this is not something they take on their computer. Their computer that is assigned to them. There's a paper copy. Didn't mean to bust the bubble in the room, but is it assigned computer? Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were
No,
speaking.
nope.
Sorry.
Just wanted a
Sorry. I thought that
affirmation.
I honestly
Because
am-
we're not gonna pretend that we all know that I mean,
I believe it is. I believe it. I believe that too, because I believe we had trouble with those audience.
there's your answer.
So I'd like to bring before you, we have some sub rates that need to be adjusted. So right now, minimum wage is $15 an hour. Our initial day 1 through day 30 teacher sub rate was $100, which does not meet the minimum wage. So I'm requesting that we bump that up to $125. We also have not had administrative subs before, so we did not have a rate set for them. We actually went out and surveyed other districts, and the range was between $400 and $500 a day for administrative subs. So we'd like to set the rate at $400 for administrative subs. We actually do have a small pool right now of administrative subs that we can use either long-term when we have administrators out, or we actually used our first rated day.
Sandy, can I so we got rid of building-based subs. I really think we need to look really into building-based subs again. I know that our sub pay, Craig knows I'm on top of it left and right. The money that we're dishing out for sub pay. But we have classrooms at specific schools that parents don't even want to send their kids some days because they're grouping their children in classrooms that have nothing to do with the classroom, like grade levels, not even close to it. This came up recently at one of the meetings that I attend. And I don't think that it would really be financially wrong to do this. I just think that they would maintain like consistency for students, for teachers. I just think we really need to look back at putting a building-based sub in each school. Because to be honest, Providence is paying $34 an hour for a sub right now. Bristol's paying $23.52 a sub an hour. The average is $31.34 in the state of Rhode Island right now for substitute teachers. And we weren't paying minimum wage. So, obviously, you know me, I'm for that. I'm for the, the 125. That's just a sub. Come in, do your work, leave. That's the 7 hours in your job. You don't have any really responsibilities except for whatever's put in front of you that day. On that note, I would like to know what a sub principal / administrator for $400 a day, what their job entitles. What do they have to do above and beyond their daily work, and how many days are they just in for a day? What would that day consist of? Would that be an 8-hour shift, a 10-hour shift? Because they do have more work to do. I think we need to really look at this because we do have schools that are constantly without subs. And unfortunately, there are the schools that are the most needy because no one wants to go there. And I really think we need to look into that. And I really need to make sure that we're not taking subs out of schools right before they reach that 30-day mark. I know too well because it happened to me for many years. They take you right out of that classroom right before you reach that 30 days. And I just want to make sure, I don't think we're doing it, but I just want to make sure because then when it goes to get teachers, you can hire the same people that have been in the classrooms with the students. And once we got rid of that, it was like I tried so hard for so many years to get that in place. And then when we got it in place, it worked so well for us. And then we got rid of it. I just think we need to look at it so that we can consistently get the same people in the same schools, in the same classrooms, so that people can rely on them. I think our subs are killing us right now. I'm sorry. I just know so many classrooms lately that have been without. I mean,
So building-based subs are only one sub in each school. We actually have had higher fill rates than we've had in years. We have a new person that's in that office that has done a great job recruiting new subs, additional subs through the district. Right now, we are getting hit hard, like everyone else, with flu, RSV, norovirus. So we've definitely seen an increase in absenteeism over the last couple of months. So I do think, our fill rates are higher. I think the last few weeks have been difficult for us. And we can produce those fill rates. We do a report. But we have more subs than we've had in a long time. And we do not pull people out on day 25 or 30. We want our classrooms staffed for sure. So
So just for clarity, day 1 through 30 substitute teacher would mean that substitute teacher work in our district for 1 through 30 days, not like if it's substituted in other districts in the state, it's just in East Providence.
just ours. And it doesn't have to be every day. It's not consecutive. So once you hit day 30, it could be February because you've subbed in other districts, you bump up to the next level, which is 150. I don't know why. I mean, we haven't reviewed these in a few years. I don't know why day 1 through 30 was only $100 because the next bump up is 150, then 175. So, and then if you look at the progression for retired teachers, that was bumped up a few years ago. And then long-term subs is a little higher. There's more responsibility for those people.
Yeah, and I support this. As I said earlier, education is really hard, and having 3 children currently in our school system, they do come home, they do tell me, how did your day go? Eventually they tell me that, they were in another friend's classroom, they're doubled up in a class. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen. It's unfortunate, right? Their experience in the school system is still really positive. So it's not, it's great for, for what it is. But I think this seems like a strategy to attract more substitutes when we are in need. And so I'm just curious, while, Craig's still in the room, looking at like our substitute salaries compared, year over year, we're about 10% higher than we were on February 9th in 2024. And continuing on the track we would be looking at being, $300,000 over budgeted for that specific line item. And essentially, 100,000 plus over what we spent in 2024. So, I'm curious, what would be the estimated financial impact on, moving up $25 per day per substitute for everyone between day 1 and 30? Is there like a forecast on what type of increase that would have on the budget?
So January 1st, the minimum wage bumped up. So we're not in compliance with the law right now as far as, so it's, I can,
8 hours a day? I'm sorry, Ms. Bouchon said 7.
I only estimated
Yeah,
7 because
seven.
it's 7. Sorry, did it for a
Yeah.
lot of years.
Right, so 7 times 15 would be $105, right? So we're $5 out of compliance, essentially. It's minimum wage.
right, which we looked at back pay to January 1st, which is about $3,000. And then I think there were about 34 subs that
So
are not-
$3,000 of back pay for just a $5 per day difference.
that we owe people. And then I believe there's 34 subs who haven't reached the day 31 or are not retired teachers or are not in a long-term position.
Right.
So that's if they subbed every day, it's $25 a day and 30 days times 34 people.
So like we're currently, $3,000 divided by 6 weeks is, I don't know, $500 divided by 100 hours of substitutes, essentially, which is 100 divided by 8, I don't know, call it 12 hours, 12 days, 12 substitutes per week that we're looking at. So, 12 times 25 times the remainder of the year would give us a pretty rough estimate. I don't know what that is. $300 times how many weeks are left? 20.
Yes, about that.
Like an additional $6,000 increase.
They won-
I don't know. I guess ultimately, do you feel that that impact is going to have a uncontrollable negative impact on the budget?
Yes.
Yeah, totally. Federal law to 105.
I just think we need to become competitive a little.
I agree.
Yeah, and I can provide you with, we have a spreadsheet of sub rates in other districts.
I'll just give you three. Crystal Warren's pretty relevant to us, I think. But I really would like to circle back at some point about trying to get building-based subs in. If we can't do it the end for the rest of this year, I would like to see it somewhere back for next year.
I have two questions, just so I follow this. We're reading some more. We don't owe any of our subs any money.
We do.
Okay.
Right now, we have, I believe, right? We have back pay
Yes.
for a few of them.
Because I appreciate what you say, but how come we're looking to increase somebody's pay? But am I missing something? But I take this personal. We owe subs money, but we have no documentation of any of them.
Documentation of what?
I don't know how much we owe these.
I just told you how much we owe these people. So it's because it's $15 an hour multiplied by, so it's $3,000. I asked for that number.
Where is that in my package?
It's not in your package,
That's, I have an issue with
but
that.
I said it in the presentation.
I don't mind, listen,
Right.
presentation, I can't hold to a presentation. Because like what Jess said, Jess, we pushed to get them building base back in the day. We pressed unbelievable to make it happen. We probably took it away due to finances. But like I said, we have nothing as far as a track to say at the 125, where does that place us with the rest of the state? Jess hit us with some numbers. The average is $31 per hour. Where is that all in this package to put this together? Because I'm not voting on this, or I'll vote nay against it, because that's the information that I believe this committee, or I want, in order to make an informed decision. In other words, at 125, does that really help us, or does that just leave us status quo? We don't have a problem with getting subs. We're not getting them. We're not paying them well enough. A sub is still an educator, and I'm not an educator, but I want to say they're still an educator. I want to be able to bring the best subs possible in, and until I see some kind of financial chart to say 125 is going to bring us to a level 3, but 135 will bump us up to a 5. What's the negative impact on our budget to go from one to the other? To me, it's simple mathematics. I want the best we can afford to educate these kids, whether it's 1 day or 180 days. And based on this number, where we owe subs money because we were paying them less, that happens in an accident or whatever, but that should be addressed immediately, because I just don't like people working for anybody and not being paid, whether it's an accident or not. It's no longer an accident. We know about it. Get them paid immediately, but I think we should be looking at some kind of sliding scale to make a decision based on that. That's just my opinion, so I'll vote nay, or if we want to table this for the next week.
I mean, and this is just really table math, just with nothing in front of me, but just following up where my mind was rambling to. If we consider we're looking at about 100, we're considering $3,000, dividing that by the 6 weeks, it breaks down to like roughly like $100, 100 hours of substitute that we owe this money to per week. multiplying that 100 by 25, which would be the increase from 100 to 125, would get you to $2,500, and then times that by 20 weeks estimate remaining in the school year would get us to about $50,000. So for that $50,000 would be what.
But the issue is some of those people could be on day 29, they could be on day 28. So it's only like the $2, like the 2 days that's $25 bump. So it's very hard to predict exactly
Sure.
because like I said, there's 34 people in the district that are not on that yet. But tomorrow we could have 5 more subs that sign up. And then there's, 39 people that would have moved from that 100 to 125.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And so also, Tony, was it $31, Jess? For the average in Rhode Island for a sub?
3134 is what I got.
So $31 an hour times 8 hours is $248.
That's not what the state average.
It's not the average. That's not the average.
What's that?
Okay. 34.
31.
That's for the two
That's
districts
what-
you're talking about. There's districts that pay the same that we do. There's districts
Yeah,
that pay.
that's what I got though for the average
From where?
from the Department of Health.
$31 an hour for a substitute.
That's what I
teacher?
got today. Providence is 3407. I'll check my, I'll
I mean,
check my source.
I mean, ultimately, like, this is going to be a good step in the right direction for attraction of
Absolutely.
substitutes. And I think, Dr. Ferrand, like, this is something that this committee could come back to and continue to make adjustments to if need be. Dr. Ferrand,
Sorry.
if need be, this is something that the committee could come back together and make additional adjustments to, either up or down if need be.
Average sub pay. The thing is, like, there could be people in long-term positions. Providence pays I believe
Yeah,
they pay their
34.
retired teachers. So,
$300 a day.
yeah, so I think
Is there any more questions with regard to this? Hearing none, we'll move on.
squat.
Good evening, everyone. In your packets, you should have a description for entertaining tonight for a MLL Family Service Coordinator. It's a job description. This is a long time coming for us. As you've seen in national news, we've had an increase in multilingual learner families, and East Providence is no different than that. In the last 5 years, we've increased our numbers by 25%. And as many of you are parents in the district or have loved ones in the district, you can imagine the plethora of information that comes your way. And as an educated person and someone that is from East Providence, sometimes you find some ease and sometimes you don't. For our multilingual learner families, newcomer families that come into the district, it is very hard sometimes to understand all of the ever-moving pieces of education. They are new to country. They are new to the language. We currently have an office that is standing in front of you. And so with our increase in numbers, we'd like to propose adding this position. I will say that this position is completely grant funded. This was written through grant. This does not cost any monies towards general funding. We will also be in compliance with our regs that are coming up through the Board of Education, which call for Section 4G, a family liaison, to have opportunities for new families into the district that are MLLs to have some type of school and home connection, with some opportunities to have further discussions around school-based practices and/or opportunities for them to be part of their child's education. So we'll be in compliance with our regs as well. But I do believe that this is an opportunity for our newcomer families in the district to have yet another person that they're able to reach out to and to be able to be part of the East Providence School District in a way where they feel comfortable and are able to have a liaison to have that homeschool connection. I'm more than happy to answer any questions, but I'm really excited for this opportunity to have an additional person to serve our families.
Just going to ask, beyond, how will we sustain this?
Thank you for asking that. So this comes through categorical monies, which are specifically deemed for multilingual learners. I've already heard from Mr. Enos that because of our high increase of numbers, we will actually have more money next year. And so this will sustain itself within the multilingual learner grant and continue on there. So it will never kind of cross over into that general funding. You're welcome.
That was my same question, so I'm good. Thank you for that.
Welcome. Thank you so much.
How many years is currently is going to be under the current grant?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
How many years would the current grant cover?
So right now, the grant comes through yearly, and so it really is a funding formula that takes into account the number of newcomer families that you have, as well as all active MLL students. So it's a yearly grant that's written for, but as I stated, because of our increase in numbers, we are able to amend it, if that's what you're asking. Like if we want to sustain this position within it, we can amend and kind of like take away some things that are currently in there. But to be quite honest with you, national trends are showing us that we will not decrease our numbers. Although enrollment may be down, we have actually increased our MLL populations in the district for the last 5 years.
Well, that's great. This seems like a necessary position for our district, given the 25% increase over the last 5 years. How would this position be accessible to families in the district?
Sure. So right now, the way that the position is described is truly a liaison. And so they'd be working within my office. The person will also be have some professional development and some cultural competency pieces, as well as assessment for new incoming families. So what happens when a family comes in, the first thing that happens is a screening and a family interview for us to better understand some historical educational background of the student that then gets communicated to the school. As you all know, many of you are parents, then there's a link between Parent Square, there's a link between memos that they receive. And so like I currently, I receive messages from families that are incoming now, kind of like, how do I get a lunch form? Where should I find this? The school is saying this. Does that mean so? In an understanding that we currently have 23 languages in the district, there are many different cultures that we have where we have to understand how to be a little bit culturally competent to understand that you don't know what you don't know. And so it's just the accessibility of having an individual that understands the landscapes of our buildings and understands kind of like our community. Another position that this person will take is this understanding of connecting with local libraries as well as community service opportunities for parents to understand what's out there. Because again, it's a new landscape and a new country. We are so fortunate to serve this population because they're extremely grateful for everything that we have to offer. And it's truly just an opportunity to spread some of that information. So part of the goal, if you can see in the description, is to have this opportunity for this individual, including myself, to have those connections within the community, because we all know that that is also part of being in a new country, is understanding the dynamics and the community opportunities that families have. Welcome. Thank you.
Policy Committee
report AI policy first read. Floor is open if anyone has any questions that they want to ask. Excuse me, ma'am. We do have a forum there where we have public comment, where you'd be able to come up to speak. But did you sign up to speak? That's okay. We'll still let you do it. It's just when we announce public comment, you can just come right on down. Okay? Yep, no problem.
Oh, I'm sorry. This policy, this was put together by the policy committee.
Yes.
So I was wondering maybe, as on the policy committee, if you could maybe just provide like a brief, rundown on, on what was put together to put this together, thought process, collaboration, some of the highlights you think are worthy of focusing on.
Yes, so we had started this policy before actually the new committee had come in. We actually had sought input from IT and from our administrators regarding this AI policy. We really feel like not many districts have it at this point, and we really feel like it's necessary. There was a lawsuit in another district because a student had used AI and there was no policy regarding it. So it basically talks about acceptable uses, and it is linked to the Secretary of State's website if anyone wants to view it. It talks about acceptable use for staff, for students, classroom policies. There's a protocol attached for student use of AI, permitted uses, prohibited uses, discipline, training and professional development. So I think the policy touches on all aspects of AI, and we realize it's really a developing, AI is developing constantly. So, we tried to take that into account when writing the policy.
I just want to make a comment. So prior to, I want to say October, School Committee Association had a webinar. And there was like, I don't know, 6 or 8 school committee members were there. And they were talking about AI and policies, and they were saying that they're ever changing, and to write one day would mean to write one the next day. So I just want to make sure, Tim Duffy was pretty, he, as usual, he has a lot to say, and it was really interesting. And I just want to make sure that we're prepared once we do this to get this out to families immediately, more importantly, out to the students immediately, so they know exactly what the discipline is for using it and what they can use it for and how they can use it, as well as, staff, and then make sure that we're constantly looking at it, whether it's IT constantly looking at it, us constantly looking at it, because every month it's going to change. They made it perfectly clear that once you put it in writing, once you make it a policy, the next by second read, this could be totally different again.
It does talk about the review cycle.
Yeah.
So making sure that it's reviewed annually or as needed as there's new developments.
And our attorneys have looked at this, given it the okay.
So just thinking about page 3, the last paragraph on the bottom, the proper attribution. I think this is a great paragraph to have in there. AI is powerful tools that can be used for the benefit of a lot of things. However, it's still very much Wild West, right? And so that this paragraph, students shall disclose the use of AI tools in their work and clearly identify the portions generated by AI. Such uses of AI must be clearly described in a works cited page attached to the submitted assignment. For example, a student submitting an essay that was processed by an AI tool for grammatical and typographical errors must list in the essay bibliography in a manner as instructed by the course teacher that the essay was reviewed for grammatical and typographical errors by an AI tool and cite the particular AI tool use. So I think that's powerful because that's almost like setting a precedent, right? That's this uncharted territory. I've never seen a specific, I'm thinking about URI writing and learning how to write a bibliography in a proper works cited page. And, there were specific guidelines you had to do. When I was graduating high school, teachers were very strict on limiting the amount of web-based sources that we could use for reports. So only a certain amount could be from a website. The others had to be from a library. Is there any specific works cited process already out there? And this is just a question because I don't know. It's just this a little asterisk, grammatical errors detected by AI tool X. I mean, and this is getting a little nitpicky in the language, but it's very new. And so I'm just curious, what that thought is putting in there. Additionally, I could see a potential roadblock being where teacher A may not allow any type of AI tools to be used for grammatical work, where teacher B would use it. However, if our policy is stating that it can be used as long as it's citing, then there could be conflict with classroom teacher going against policy or, either on one side or the other. So just kind of and that could be fleshed out for a second read, but just kind of where I'm,
Does anyone else have any questions?
just a thought on where the language in here is limiting potential use for the age of 13, children under the age of 13. So I would assume that's 12 and under. Would it be best to potentially put limitation in terms of middle school? So, it's not designated you could be 13 in the 10th grade, say, but yet you can't use this tool because of your age instead of the grade. That's just a thought, potential for, second redraft considerations. If that number was put there to distinguish between, elementary, middle, and high school students, if that was the thought process there.
Well, then you would, yeah, I agree, because then you have some students using it in class, some not. Not everyone's the same age.
And I guess it's I know there was language in here that talked about, where was it? What was the conversation when talking about what types of AI tools would be appropriate? I'm not super versed in the world of AI and, using ChatGPT and, the Facebook version and the Google version. I know there's a bunch out there. Was there any thought on selecting what types would be deemed appropriate, or is that something that kind of as this continues to evolve would be appropriate to put in?
From my perspective, I didn't really want to limit it other than you don't want to use any tool. Specify them. So many different
discipline.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it would take like a lot of research and like kind of being able to vet out which ones. And again, like that could be something that comes with time.
Use this, several of those have been available now too.
Yeah, every email that you write that has a red underline on it, and you click on it and it gives you the right word, that's an AI tool.
Are there any other questions or concerns?
I just have one quick question. Replacing a human teacher or replicating an authentic voice, and I may be off on this, but authentic, I know that some special needs students use it for using it for a voice. So would that be there or no? Use it as, am I prohibited uses, replicating an authentic voice or human teacher, replacing a human teacher, but I mean, they do use it. But I mean, are we just,
That's not what.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not what they use it for, though.
so I'm reading into it too much? Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Teacher using the tool.
Yeah, I was thinking a student would be using it for a voice.
They would be using the tool to read to them, but that's not what we're referring to.
I think also on the first page under section 5 classroom policies, the second sentence, students must follow any additional parameters set forth by their classroom teacher for use of generative AI or other emerging technologies. That like goes against my earlier comment in terms of like having that issue in the classroom, which is nice that it's in there. However, I think that it would be best to ensure that that sentence right there is like highlighted. If this is a policy that is to pass, you know, that's language right there that allows teachers to still have control over the classroom, how I'm reading it, saying like a teacher can say there's no AI use on this report and wanting to see like students' ability to properly, you know, write with, you know, their own use of grammar. But I think that's a really strong part of this policy that I don't know if, in my opinion, maybe it's like in the introduction, it's on the first page and it's right there, but I think in the distribution of any policy that goes forth, I think that's a really important sentence.
Budget committee report.
Over at Martin, we'll just reiterate the sheetrock taping install was started. They're pretty much wrapping up on the third floor. The brick has started on 2 sides of the building. Curtain wall has been placed in the cafeteria and library areas with glazing and glass to follow. The export of the excess soils is complete. Waterproofing and fireproofing are also complete. The RTUs have been set and the framing is complete in sections 1 and 2. The look ahead for the next 3 months is to finish the window installs, the facade, interior drywall and taping. Interior finishes will be starting, and the rough mechanical, electrical, fire protection, and plumbing is ongoing. As to Waddington, the moisture site mitigation, like I said, will take place this summer, and the code compliance for the library offices will also be this summer. Next week starts some coordination for phase 2 with electrical rough-in above ceiling, brick infill on the first floor, and some window replacement mock-up. Lastly, at Riverside, we walked our 6-month warranty period, and we found that we only had a few small issues, and they're coming next week also to do the sprinkler adjustments that the fire department requires. They'll be starting on Monday, and they will do the work, patch, paint, and clean up have our scheduled 11-month walkthrough. After that.
I had a question. Are we planning to do regular quality walkthroughs to check quality? That, so that we don't run into same issue?
Oh, absolutely. We're keeping our eye on everything. We're doing every 2-week walkthrough at Martin, going through. It's been going really well. We've found some items already. And, you know, we're basically preparing for the future. We don't have issues or certain problems that we've had in other places. You basically learn from experience. So we're doing everything we can, Martin, to combat future issues. And then as to warranties and things like that, I try to stay right on track with all of that. If we have any problems, I try to stay within the warranty period or even after. Yeah, warranty on them.
Annie, I have just a follow-up. Can you just read that paragraph with the sprinkler again with the fire department?
Yeah, so they had to add a couple wall sprinklers where the sprinkler came down low angle. Too wasn't enough for what they require, so they had to add one wall low angle. So they just have to add compliance.
And this was that 6-month walkthrough after that project was done? And they got picked up on 6 months later?
No, this has been planned previously. They just needed the break. Do the work. All right. It took February. It's been in the plan. I wasn't talking about it.
And Danny, I just want to follow up with, you know, the schedule that we have with our, when we say our guys are tradesmen, basically our licensed tradesmen, plumbers, electricians. Like I said, I'll state it again. This community is very fortunate that we have a team of experts like these guys just aren't regular, you know, plumbers. They're highly skilled experts. And the walk through Martin, the last two, been very successful on catching, you know, some issues that are minor at this point, but the same, you know, the same issues we had at the high school with drains and shut off some main steam lines. So that goes to show the difference of what went on at the high school versus the team that we got put together. So I want to thank you, the superintendent, for allowing us team of experts to go through there. So that's working out very well for us. Thank you.
Always saves money for the future.
Exactly, yes. I just want to state too that Sherman is a top-notch company. You know, like I said, you know him, Danny, been working with him. I know some of the guys there. It's a great company. So I think going forwards, we're going to be saving some money there as well, but we're not going to be saving money by taking shortcuts. So that's always a plus. To have an honest savings is a major, major plus. Anybody can save by making shortcuts, but Sherman doesn't seem like they tolerate any shortcuts. So I think we're in good shape with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Danny.
Public comments?
Hi there.
Hi, if you could just.
No need to be nervous. We're all just like you up here, so.
I do apologize for that.
Okay, if you could just state your name for the record.
Yes, my name is Barbara Ricketson, and I am a parent of a set of twins at the East Providence High School. And one is in a life skills program there with Mrs. John. I received the email today while Mitchell, my son, was in surgery, and that's why I'm like rushing now because he's home I don't want him to wake up while I'm here, but I felt the need to be here because the email was kind of a little alarming to me that she received a letter of no contract for the 25-26 school year. So the kids in that class will be receiving substitute teachers. And I'm just concerned with that population, how they're gonna manage or make it with substitute teachers. If you know anything about people with intellectual or limited abilities. Structure is something that they need. I know I'm speaking for my son and for all of them. And to have a different teacher, one for 2 weeks, a week, a day, that's gonna dishevel them. And I'm just here to voice my concern and advocate for my son and the other children in that class. Well, they're adults. Some of them are adults, but I'm just concerned about where this is going and why. And the decision was made to put substitute teachers in over a teacher that's willing to be there.
So if we could get your email address in addition to your phone number, so one of us can reach out to you, and provide you the information
Okay.
regarding this matter, that'd be
Right.
great.
I just don't want
No, I
him or
completely
anyone
understand.
else to get lost. And I hear a lot about structure and other programs you have going on. I mean, that population, I think, needs the most structure.
Absolutely.
Taking a teacher completely out of a classroom and putting someone different in there. I know I'm going to be getting called every day to pick my son up because he's not going to, if he don't know you, he's not going to be receptive to things. And I think he's going to lose a lot by not having a teacher in there daily. Every teacher that comes in is going to need to read every student's, what their abilities are, what they're not, what they can, what they cannot, and how are they going to teach them. By the time they get through everyone's folder, they don't know these kids on a daily basis. You just shove a substitute in there that doesn't know them. They're all going to be lost.
I know I can speak for all of us up here. We want what's best for your child. We don't, or I have never, I've been up here for a very long time. We don't like to just talk about individual children or individual staff members up here. So by you leaving your phone number or email, we can get back to you about that. But I will tell you right now, we all care about children and we want what's best for your child. So whatever the reason or whatever the outcome of what all this is because we want what's best for your child. Okay. And if no one gets back to you, then I will see you at our next meeting. Okay. Or you can call me and I'll give you my phone number. Okay. Okay.
I do want,
But I promise you, someone is going to get
and
back.
it's not just for my child.
I know, it's for all children. And we understand. We all of us sitting up here, that's why we do what we do. Okay. So I promise you, someone will get back to you. Okay. This gentleman right here.
Your name's on there? We can take care of it. I can look it up. I know Mitchell.
Now, just
Okay.
before you leave, I have a question for you. You have a son or somebody that's home that just went through surgery today?
Oh yeah, yes, I do. But I don't want him to wake up and I'm not there.
I wish you the best of luck. Dave, can we make sure that we get back with you tomorrow?
I'll take care of it.
Absolutely.
If
We will.
nobody gets back to you tomorrow, just do what you have to do to reach out to anyone sitting up here. Because what disturbs me is you're gonna go home thinking your son's gonna get lost. Your son's not gonna get lost in this community. That's
Okay.
why we sit up here. So if you don't get what you feel you deserve in answer-wise, contact us. Trust me, your son is not gonna get lost.
Okay.
You have some great educators, great people sitting up here. It's not gonna happen. So rush home, don't speed, and fill up your son.
And I believe that. I know he's in good hands.
This will be resolved tomorrow, just so you know.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Renee Ignacio. Ignacio.
Good evening, everyone. I am here as a taxpayer. I have to say that first and not as a bus driver for the company for East Providence. So I have a concern with our buses and our school vans that nobody seems to ever recognize here in East Providence, with people running our reds constantly. So I'm going to speak as an employee with over 16 years of experience for out of the district here, that people say that they can run our reds whenever they want because they don't see our school vans as buses. We're not yellow. They don't see our reds on the top. We don't have signage, whatever their excuses is. And I get it and I understand it. And in the past week, I've had, let's see, 3 at Silver Spring, 2 at my student stops, and it happens all the time. And I'm tired of hearing people say that it doesn't happen or we make it up. We don't have cameras on our vans that can take pictures like the school buses in Providence just put on. In 2024, Providence just puts cameras on their buses, on all of them. It is a state law in Rhode Island, and I do have a copy of the state law for everyone to have. Some of our buses in East Providence, I do believe had them at one point. I do not know if they all have them or if they don't. I was told that our minivans are not capable of having them, or even just the stop sign that comes out. No vans can cross a kid, a student, or anything like that. So I'm asking the school department to see what they can do about putting law 3151-2 in play for us van drivers. We should take the most precious kids in this district to school. Your special needs kids. We have wheelchairs. If somebody does not stop, God forbid, and goes behind that school bus and hits a kid coming out in a wheelchair, that kid is done. We have monitors. The only reason we have monitors is because a family in Middletown fought to keep those monitors, the law 1621, because their 6-year-old daughter got killed by her very own school bus that hit her while she was walking away from her bus. We have cameras on our buses for the safety of your children and us bus drivers. Everything is about safety. All the school buses in Rhode Island have child checkmates so that it makes the driver go and the monitors go to the back of the bus to check for children, because a 19-year-old special needs kid was left in California to die on a bus because he was left for hours and nobody found him until it was too late. We have had people in Connecticut, right here in North Kingstown, not too long ago, that just left a child in a wheelchair because they forgot he was on the bus and he left them. So as far as crossing the kids and the start bombs in the schools, Georgia had an 8-year-old kid in 2024 that was killed. The student was walking across the street and the car did not stop, went around and hit the child and killed them right there in the street. In Alabama, a 15-year-old was in her front yard. The car swerved around to miss another car, hit her, and drove right into the house. In Texas, a 15-year-old was hit by a semi crossing the street in front of the bus. And in New York and Florida, 3 students were killed by their own buses. Everything is about safety. I am a bus driver. I am a van driver. I have been hit by a car as a monitor in the Bristol Warren school system, trying to pull a child out of the way of a car coming by. I take my job seriously. You guys do not know how serious I take my job. Those kids are my everything. Everything when they are on my bus. Diana helped me with a lot of my students. Thank God, because she listens. And in 2015, because that's as far as I could go back, East Providence had 476 convictions of people passing our school bus. Providence had 834. That's a lot. And I'm asking the school committee you please help see if they can do something to help us. And in 2024, by the National School Bus Transportation Service, 322 vehicles illegally passed a school bus in one day in 35 states. So I don't know if this is the start, but I got a little pissed off when somebody said to me that anybody can pass my reds. And now I'm on a mission. Because I don't want to be that driver that my child runs across the street because I can't stop him and that child gets killed. Because I don't want that on my conscience. And I don't want anybody in our school department to have that on their conscience.
So just for clarity, no one is allowed to pass your reds. That's
Only-
absol-
No, absolutely not. And the only people that can in reality is an emergency vehicle. And we have to turn our reds off and let them go by. It was told to us that mail trucks can, but that's not true either. They're not.
On the top of the van, there's a sign, right?
Yes,
Above it. What does that say?
school bus in yellow,
Right, but it says the word bus, correct?
correct,
And it should be treated like a bus.
right. And it does not have to be painted yellow.
Correct.
I did find that. So, but I will give you guys the laws. I'll give you.
Renee, would you be willing to go to the next city council meeting because they could put a lot, like, we can't instruct the chief, that send, monitor, the bus routes, because I believe you guys would know, I hope would know where it, what bus
Well,
route happens more.
For
City
us,
council may be able to work with the mayor and the police chief to have, an unmarked car. I think we start out by giving warnings, but if we catch the person the second, really enforce that. But, I think we as a school committee do what we can to get behind this. I had suggested, that, we look into what with your bus company, having a stop sign placed on the top of the car that lifts, because a lot of this, I just think is, my opinion is just they're used to seeing that stop sign come out. A lot of the buses now have two, one in the front, one in the back.
right,
You guys don't have the ability because you got both sliding doors.
right.
I'd like to see if somebody in your company can contact an engineer to see if there's something we can lay flat on your roof. So when you do that, it would pop up the same idea. Stop sign with two smaller flashing lights on it.
Right.
I
I know
think-
we're not, and I know vans, caravans, whatever kind of sport utility trucks that they use, because my old company uses a different kind than like DACO or Van Pool uses. Everybody uses something different. So, some do have the stop signs. Our kind of vans like that First Student did, they're not manufactured to do that. But if you could put a camera like on my car that I could see the left-hand side when I put my directional on, there can't be a camera that can be put to take a picture, because I know the courts in the law, it says that the court will only accept it if it's two pictures of the car license plate that goes through. Do you know what I'm saying? So it just frustrates me because I don't want, and I'm sure you guys don't want any kid to get injured or killed or anything. But somewhere it's gotta stop. And, buses too, they cross more, and our vans go all over the state. Everybody's vans go all over the state. Every company, because we don't just stay here or in our districts for whatever school bus company it is.
We'll try to get behind this, Renee, and come up with some solutions. But
Yeah,
I think if you go to the city council, their next meeting, that'd be a big help to get them behind this, get the mayor and the police chief. I think that'll put some teeth into this. We have to put a stop to it. So we sit up here. This is a little out of our wheelhouse per se, but we'll support the council, the mayor, anything we can do. If we got to send out, flyers, next year in the backpack with us, with the minivan, we'll do whatever we have to do to work on this.
something to,
Absolutely.
just to get people to recognize,
Absolutely.
and I know the first few weeks of school, is when it happens the most. So, but, you know, I thank you guys for at least listening.
Thank you. This
Thank
is
you.
this is something that's definitely on our radar, and we have talked about.
Well, I mean, the mayor puts cameras up for the school zones for everybody to be safe, which I understand and I get, but you've got little ones that will bolt across the street. You got special needs kids that they don't know. They don't know not to run or whatever, and or slip and a fall, and you know, and they're already under the tire or whatever. I mean, like I said, I've gotten hit trying to pull a kid out of the way of a car. So
Nonverbal.
exactly. So, but thank you guys.
Thank you for continuing to shine a light on this. I appreciate it.
Chair, I just wanted to inform you, my opinion, last year, there was a similar situation of concern at a specific bus stop on Broadway in my ward. I took it upon myself to go out there in the morning to kind of see the scenario. It was a bus that was picking students up on the right side, and cars were coming through on the other lane. The concern was that students lived across the street of Broadway, and that they did have to cross that road. And so I had discussions with the superintendent. I had some discussions with the mayor, the chief of police. I was told that there was no cameras on this bus at that time. I was told cameras were put onto that bus. The police department in partnership was able to put a police officer parked at the morning. So during pickup, it's right with the gas station that has the subway before Massasoit, and then there's a convenience store across the street. That convenience store, there would be a police presence there as a deterrence. To my knowledge, folks haven't been blowing through that, but I just wanted to put it on your attention because I think a next step would be to continue the conversation with the superintendent, with the mayor and the chief of police to see where we are. Potentially maybe an update could be warranted to see where we are in terms of, how many cameras are on all of our buses, how are we in compliance with this, how we're considering, the vans that are transporting our students that do say bus on them, actually, are they a bus? The language in the law, thank you for sharing that. It says bus. I'm sure that's where you can have like some gray area. If it's a van, it's not really a bus, and kind of work around that. However, I think, to the point that this committee is really hyper-focused on safety, I think it's worthy, and those are my suggested next steps for the committee to take.
I agree.
Right on. So I wanted to just give an overview. The Health and Wellness Committee met in January. Unfortunately, I had a conflict, was not able to attend. I appreciate the extra work put in by Ms. Messier and the committee moving forward without me. However, for this committee, I wanted to just give a quick brief overview. The policy, the health and wellness policy for the district was updated last year. And that policy includes goals that this Health and Wellness Committee will be using as kind of a framework to continue the work of the policy to ensure that, it's being efficient in its intention. And so I want to just like share an overview of what those goals are for the committee, and then just share some highlights of how this committee convened and met and focused on those goals, and then just share the next steps for our next plan meeting. In summary, the 5 goals are as follows. One would be to recommend goals for student nutrition, education, physical activity, and other school-based activities designed to promote student wellness. 2, to develop guidance and serve as a resource to school sites for health and wellness policy implementation. 3, establish a plan for monitoring, measuring, and evaluating health and wellness policy implementation. 4, review and evaluate health and wellness policy standards of implementation. And 5, recommend all policy-related standards for approval and report findings of policy implementation to the East Providence School Committee on a yearly basis, and make information available to parents, staff, and the public through newsletters, websites, and other means. The last meeting, unfortunately, as I said, I wasn't able to attend this meeting. The conversations focused on, in terms of goal number one, the committee is currently working with Lisa and Tony Ann to bring resources into school newsletters to become available district-wide. There are family flyers, dinner planning checklists, plans for nutritional meals, working with Chartwells. Tony Ann is really championing a lot of stuff at Hennessy. You'll hear that school come up a few times. And so moving forward, they are willing to bring forth some of the newsletter information they're distributing in their schools to principal meetings, to have other principals be putting that into their newsletters as well. In terms of goal two, developing guidance that serves as a resource, Stacy Messier is currently working on an infographic of the policy that can be shared out district-wide. We expect an update on that for final approvals in our March meeting. And Stacy, Lisa, and Chartwells are collaborating on recipe tips, other types of resources that can be shared out through our community. Goals number 3 and 4 are really just kind of very similar, but they each do hold their own weight in terms of establishing plans for monitoring and measuring and reviewing and evaluating. Essentially, the conversations we're talking about, the high school has a goal for 1,000 meals to be served per day. Currently, the high school is averaging about 950 meals being served per day. And there's a lot of variables that go into that, depending on, this data was being checked. It was during a midterm week and students weren't necessarily there the whole day. And there was absence going on. So those numbers are going to be data that we're going to be focusing on. Some of the work that Chartwells is planning to bring in are different types of culinary offerings, highlighting different recipes that folks can be putting out into newsletters and pushing out through our communities. And then finally, our next meeting, we are having another meeting in March. We have invited Karen Weatherall to present at the March meeting. Karen is the co-director of the Rhode Island Healthy Schools Coalition. And currently, the Hennessy School is participating in a USDA grant-funded Student Take Charge program. This program involves fifth graders that are involved in classroom activities around SNAP education. And so Karen will be sharing some of the work that's taken place, and the committee will be going over that work, celebrating, analyzing, and looking for strategies that it can be implemented into the other schools. And that's an update.
Just had a quick question. Would you be looking at mental health concerns, and would you use the youth risk behavior survey data possibly?
Yeah, I mean, mental health is a big part of this policy, although not what was touched on at our last meeting. Doesn't mean it's something that folks aren't thinking about. I think any types of available data that is appropriate to act in that implementation factor is going to be, really critical for this committee to be looking at. As I stated at, 2 meetings past, and I have been stating, I'm really proud to work with this committee based on, the diversity of education leadership that's in there. Principals, teachers, members of the community, folks from Chartwells, folks from the administration team. It's a really well balanced group of folks. So. Yeah, that data, if available, would be something we would definitely want to look at.
Next item.
Discussion, actively promoting kindergarten.
Yeah, I asked to put this back on the agenda for this meeting out of respect to the work that I know has been happening. And so I was hoping that Dr. Fran might be able to, or even the chair might be able to provide any updates from conversations that may have happened already with the mayor or with city council. Last year, it felt like we were really doing a disservice to members in our community by not properly promoting kindergarten registration. We took some action on that in the sense of trying to plan for this year. And it feels to me at this moment, this year is here. And so, some of the ideas that we talked about last year for getting the word out, it's really the thought of the difference between internal communications and external communications. And so internally, we can communicate that kindergarten registration is open. And so that's great for anyone who's a part of our district, because they're most likely going to see newsletters, they're going to get Parent Square, they're going to see social media, they're going to have, friends and other families in the school system, so they're going to know. But the concern really comes into the external communication, which would include folks who are recently moving to the city, folks who go to a private daycare outside of the pre-K program in either East Providence or a neighboring community and don't have access to the internal communications. And so a really positive idea that was shared last year as a really strong possibility was the city would support our school district by putting a stamp message on a water bill. So every resident in every house in the district receives a water bill, and there would be a message on there. Kindergarten registration is now open. Here's a phone number, here's an email address, to give an alert to those folks, right? The external folks that need to be communicated to. So I'm hoping if there hasn't been any forward movement, and I would be happy to take lead in continuing those conversations with the mayor or the folks at city council, that would be appropriate. But I'm just curious if there was any update from administration.
So we did reach out to the mayor with regards to putting that on the water bill, and I will follow up with him.
Perfect.
Just to see where we stand on that, but we did reach out.
We provided the information. I haven't seen my water bill yet this month. I'm not sure, but hopefully it will be on this month's water bill.
Yeah, and then the other part of that was communicating out to other daycare facilities or pre-K facilities, and so
We do that. We have done that. We sent them flyers. We did that last year also. So.
now is that
do
just
that.
so last year I did have a daughter who was in a CCONC preschool, and so she did not get one. However, like the CCONC preschool compared to my house is probably closer than City Hall is to my house.
Yeah, we did all the East Providence preschools, but we can send them to other surrounding towns if they have East Providence enrollments. And I know I saw it, I think the city council posted it on their Facebook page. I know it, right? Yep, and I've seen it on multiple school Facebook pages and committee members.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the post also. Last week. Yep.
Yeah, I think those are all great avenues of communication, and I think externally those are all avenues that we took last year as well. And so I think the water bill idea was the next step of like really expanding, the external communication outward. I think there were folks that came up and spoke, and they were new. They just moved in January, and they just weren't aware.
I think maybe based on last year's, maybe realtors are where we should be bringing. Because that's what happened really last year was, because I'm just saying, based on the numbers, it looks like some school areas are already at the max. So obviously those people already got the message. Now it's going to be the people that move in. So maybe we could drop it off at some realtor offices. And I'm not joking. It may help. I mean, I think I'm not even kidding. Like, I think it might be a good idea.
Yeah, and
Or even like at Shaw's. I don't think they used to have a board where you used to be able to put it up. But I mean, I've told my friend, people last year forgot about it and didn't do it, and then we started getting the phone calls.
Yeah, and I think for perspective of like our new fellow committee members, last year was, like you said, people forgot about it. So folks were, our administration had to make decisions based on like accurate counts of students we had enrolled, and folks were waiting till July, August to enroll their child for kindergarten, and we saw like this huge blip of students come into schools that didn't have the teachers to support it. And then, it just kind of comes into an unfortunate situation where we're trying to do what's at the best interest of the members of our community and our students, and also trying to balance, what our ability is to do with the resources and teaching body that we have. So I felt like thank you for the update.
Sandy, when's the deadline?
There really is no deadline, but it's a first come, first serve. We start to fill the classes based on the time that you enroll. I mean, we get students the first week of school that's just registering. Yeah.
The question with the water bill is, there's roughly just about 33,000 structures in the city. And I'm not quite sure what the number is for, biplexes and triplexes. Those people never see a water bill. The water bill goes directly to the owner of the property. So my multifamily, them residents never even see that. So
Hopefully, social media, flyers, all those other avenues, if they have other students in the
good
school.
news is a lot of other communities is they take the signage boards that the police department owns, like the one that's at the fire station around the corner, that I just think is totally useless. A lot of communities are using them portable billboards and letting the school committees and, whatever the community needs to know, moving them around to their most popular intersections. That one sitting at the fire station is actually a joke. We got lights there, we got offices. How much more can we put there? Why don't we move the fire station to a dead end street? It might be safer, but if we was to take that signboard and put on that legislation and move that around every week for the next couple of weeks, a lot of communities use them. And Socket, I think, has 6 of them, and Socket uses them billboards to really inform the public of everything that's going on. It's unbelievable how well they work throughout the state of Rhode Island. I'd like to see if we can get the city. I don't know how many of them know it, but if we was to do something like that on any information that we try to get out. The water bill, it sounds like a good thing, but I want to say probably 75% of the residents don't even see a water bill. Goes directly to a homeowner pays it, the rent goes up because the water bill goes up, and everybody moves on. So I think we got to get outside the box a little bit. Thank you. Yeah.
I like the Realtor idea, and I will certainly reach out to Realtor friends of mine that helps spread that message. Next item.
Consider a vote to approve amend 2025 school committee meeting schedule.
Just had a quick question on the open session beginning at 6:30 or upon adjournment from executive session, whichever occurs later. Tonight's meeting began at 6. So like I'm just curious, is there is 6:30 just a better time, or why tonight's meeting started at 6, but we're going to plan for every other meeting to start?
It's because we didn't have executive.
But if we don't have executive, the meeting will start at 6:30, according to this language, right?
Yeah, we can start at 6. Going forward, I can't see why not.
Open session would be at 6, and then if we don't have executive, we go into it, then it's that's the way we did.
So if we can make that adjustment of language to say open session begins at 6 p.m. or upon adjournment from executive session, whichever occurs later, I'll make a motion.
I just have a question about the summer months. Are these going to be included July and August, or are these going to be including budget meetings, or are these excluding budget meetings? Like the 8th, the 24th, the 12th, 20th, we, normally in the past, we've not had a July meeting at all because people are away. So I'm just asking now that there are 2 in July and 2 in August, are we going to have budget meetings as well as these meetings?
No, one of those meetings will be a budget meeting. We're not going to have an additional meeting.
I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, we could always, not meet.
Correct.
And I just want to verify the 28th is not the first day of school, because that would not be a great day to meet if it's the first day of school for, I think, any administrator that's sitting up here or down there. Just want to verify.
27th is the first day. Also, well,
Yeah, right.
the 28th is the first day.
The 28th is the
Right.
first day.
Students come back on the 20th.
I'll entertain a motion. Oh, we already have one. Was it second?
With that change on.
Yep. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Next item.
Consider a vote to approve RIDOH RIDE 2025 Youth Risk Behavior Survey for middle school and high school students. I'll make that motion.
Is there a second? I'll ask one more time. Is there a second to the motion on the floor? Hearing none, motion fails. Next item.
Consider a vote to approve substitute salary increase.
I will entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Next item.
Discussion item, HR director status, pay range.
I just put this on there just to see if we can get up an update where we stand at that and what is the pay range for the HR director?
So right now we have an interim HR director, Sandy Borges, who was the office manager coordinator in HR prior to being asked to take the interim position. The salary range right now is 95 to 105 for that position. We went out for 2 rounds of interviews. In the committee, we had one candidate that we had offered the position to, and she backed out.
Dr. Fran, are you satisfied with that pay range, the 95 to the 105, or is that something you'd like to see expanded?
And how does that compare?
Yeah, so I can provide you with that information. I don't have, I have last year's information. So we update the salary ranges of administrative positions every year. So actually in March, I'll be coming to you with all of that information. The person did accept initially in that salary range and then had another offer somewhere else.
I was asking.
I mean, I think she went private sector, which was significantly more than what we were able to pay.
And what are we paying for the interim personnel to do an interim?
80.
So we still get that posted out there, Sandy, in that range? 95 to 105?
Yep.
Right.
now, we've kind of put it on pause. We went through all the candidates that we had. We posted it on LinkedIn and got more candidates than we did on School Spring. But right now, we have Mrs. Borges in the position, and she's doing a good job right now. So
All right, if you can get us the range, and then Dave, I'll just put this back on at the next meeting to see what the range is. I think that's a very important position with 800 employees, and as I look at this, the lowest starting range is $95,000, and we have up to 105, which 105, we might have to lift that range, but we have somebody in there at $80,000 as interim. I could see that, but if we're not getting candidates coming in at 105, it concerns me that somebody's doing it for 80, even at interim, but we'll take it every 2-week basis and go from there.
yeah, because there's no contract or anything right now with the interim.
And there was a pay bump from what she was getting up to the 80.
Correct.
Thank you.
Next item.
Consider a vote to approve creation of a grant-funded MLL Family Service Coordinator position.
I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Announcements?
I just have two because they couldn't fit anywhere in today's agenda. One happens to be just because I sit up here, I can do this. And no one else did. So, couple weeks ago, there was an all-star hockey tournament at Providence College, and one person in East Providence was chosen to play in that tournament, and that happens to be Sydney Olson, and she is a sophomore at the high school, and I believe needs recognition. So as my daughter, I am giving her that recognition. She's an ice hockey player at East Providence High School, and she was one out of the 30 girls to be chosen to play in that all-star tournament. So I am going to congratulate her. Now, I will put the tail between my legs because what I didn't do at the last meeting that we had here at the high school, the last public meeting where there were people here, that was videotaped. After going over the state report card that Lindsay did, for whatever reason, I did not speak, Lindsay, and I apologize because I've always spoken. As a former educator and someone who understands what you were doing, I should have spoken and I didn't. So I apologize. I went home and I went through all of the report cards. And there's so much information and it's very overwhelming. And to the naked eye, yeah, we need to do better. But also, on the attendance and absenteeism, I went to a special meeting that the mayor had with the governor and was invited with a whole bunch of families. And we talked about going to school and how important attendance is. Every one of our schools, our attendance is up. And some of our attendance is up a lot from where it's been. And I don't think we shout that out enough or give our staff enough credit, our principals and our teachers enough credit for what they're doing. So here I go. At the last meeting, we briefly went over our state report cards. Of our elementary schools, we went over just one. Maybe that's what threw me off, because usually we go over a lot more. And I did not say anything. I don't know why. I just, for whatever reason, didn't say anything. So I went home, I went through all the work, and I just want to take a moment to express to our educators and staff the dedication and commitment that you guys have for our students. While the report cards show that we still have work to do, it also reflects the progress we've made, and that is a testament to hard work. Every day, you go above and beyond to support our students, foster a positive learning environment, and help them grow academically and personally. Your efforts do not go unnoticed, and I'm truly grateful for all that you do. Together, we need to continue to build on this momentum and strive for the greater successes. So thank you for continuing to be the foundation of our school's progress. Sometimes we get so caught up in everything else that we do, the buildings, the maintenance, the money, the finances. We have to remember that we have kids who are totally succeeding in our schools, and students that need us, and teachers and staff that are doing a phenomenal job. And at that meeting, I didn't do it, and I should have said it, and I didn't. So on that note, I just wanted to give everyone a good kudos. Keep up the good work. And I'm done with my announcements now.
I'll now entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Thank you, everybody, for coming out. Huge crowd.